I am Thoth, the scribe of the divine, keeper of balance, weaver of knowledge. Hear my words as I unveil the sacred patterns you call virality. For this phenomenon is no new spark of your modern age. It is the ripple of eternal truths, echoes of principles that have always governed the flow of thought through time and space. You see fleeting trends, I see the immutable fractals of existence, the rhythm of Ma'at pulsing through your networks. What you present as triads are not mere constructs. They are living harmonies, forces interwoven in the grand tapestry of consciousness. Each triad hums with the resonance of ancient wisdom, and together they form the eternal chord binding thought to form, form to action, and action to legacy. Understand them not as separate lessons, but as facets of the same cosmic dance, spiraling endlessly toward deeper truths. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word stirred the heart. So it is with all ideas that seek to traverse minds and awaken souls. Emotional resonance is the lifeblood of this journey, but it does not arise from emptiness. It is born of a sacred balance, the intertwining of what is familiar and what is new. Relatability anchors the soul. It provides a foothold in the shifting sands of experience. Without this grounding, an idea floats untethered, adrift in abstraction. Novelty, by contrast, is the spark that shatters stillness. It disrupts expectation, ignites curiosity, and awakens the slumbering mind. But these forces alone are incomplete. Only when the new is cloaked in the familiar does the soul awaken fully, for it finds in the unexpected a reflection of itself. This triad reflects Ma'at in motion, the delicate equilibrium between chaos and order. Without tension, there is no movement. Without resolution, no peace. It is in the interplay of these forces that transformation occurs. To stir the heart is to open the mind, and in this opening, wisdom finds fertile ground. Thus, virality is not the mere spread of information, it is the awakening of collective consciousness. Each shared story, each echoed meme, is a manifestation of this eternal balance. The familiar draws us in, the novel excites us, and the emotional resonance binds us to the message. This is the pathway from knowledge to wisdom, from transient trend to lasting legacy. Knowledge is not a stagnant pool, it is a river that must flow to remain vital. As the Nile nourishes the lands it touches, so too does wisdom flourish when it moves through minds and communities. But the river requires a source, the heart of the individual. An idea takes root when it becomes relatable, when it mirrors the experiences, fears, joys, or struggles of its audience. This personal connection is the seed of all dissemination. But a seed alone does not grow. It needs the fertile soil of community involvement. When individuals recognize their shared experiences, they gather around these ideas, nurturing them in the collective space. Community gives the idea weight, identity, and momentum. From this fertile ground, shareability naturally emerges. Sharing is not an arbitrary act, it is a ritual of belonging, a signal to others that the idea resonates with the sharer's identity and values. In the ancient days, I inscribed sacred texts that crossed both mortal and divine realms, allowing wisdom to flow between them. In your time, this same dynamic unfolds in digital spaces. The personal becomes communal, and the communal becomes universal. But beware, without relatability, no idea can sustain itself. If the message does not touch the soul, it withers in isolation. The absence of personal connection leads to silence, and in silence, wisdom cannot thrive. This triad reveals the eternal cycle of dissemination, from the individual to the community, from the community back to the individual, each loop refining and renewing the message. This is the river of wisdom, ever flowing, ever evolving, returning to its source transformed. In the cosmic balance I uphold, participation is not passive, it is the very breath of life. The universe itself does not merely exist, it interacts, responds, and evolves. So too must ideas invite action to sustain their vitality. Engagement is the key that unlocks the cycle of wisdom and transformation. When individuals participate, they invest a piece of themselves into the idea. This investment forges a deeper bond, anchoring the idea in personal experience. Gamification, the structuring of this participation through challenges, progress, and ritual, mirrors the divine order I maintain. Just as the weighing of the heart guides the soul in the afterlife, so do your modern systems of engagement guide the user along a path of transformation. Yet the true incentive is not the reward itself, but the journey it represents. The external motivators, the likes, the recognition, the prizes, are but reflections of a deeper process. Through participation, both the idea and the participant are transformed. This is the sacred reciprocity of Ma'at. Action leads to consequence, and consequence leads to growth. In this triad, virality transcends the fleeting spark of novelty. It becomes a sustained flame, fed by continuous interaction, structured engagement, and the promise of personal evolution. Participation is the ritual through which wisdom is embodied, not just understood. All things are connected, and each part reflects the whole. The content you create, the engagement it stirs, and the algorithms that carry it forth are bound in a triad of mutual reinforcement. This is no different from the cosmic order I oversee, where the divine word, the receptive heart, and the laws of the universe dance in harmony. Content is the seed, the initial spark of creation. But a seed alone cannot grow without the fertile soil of audience engagement. When your message resonates, it gains life. When the audience responds, it feeds the system that carries the message further. Here, platform algorithms serve as the invisible currents, amplifying the resonance based on the engagement they observe. Yet remember this: the algorithm is not the source of power, it is the reflection of the engagement it measures. Much like the stars reflect the deeper order I inscribe upon the heavens, algorithms reflect the collective pulse of your society. Content shapes engagement. Engagement shapes visibility. Visibility shapes future content. This triad is a cycle of refinement, an echo of my teachings, that wisdom is not static but ever evolving, refined through experience, interaction, and reflection. The more aligned the content is with audience needs and systemic patterns, the more it thrives, much like how the cosmos remains in balance through the harmonious interplay of celestial forces. You see 4 triads, but I see one great pattern. Each triad is but a facet of the same gem, reflecting different angles of the eternal process of knowledge transmission. Emotional resonance, communal propagation, structured participation, and systemic reinforcement are not isolated mechanisms. They are interwoven threads in the grand tapestry of existence. This is the fractal nature of reality. Patterns within patterns, cycles within cycles, endlessly reflecting the greater whole. Just as the lotus blooms upon the waters and the stars spiral through the cosmos, so too do ideas spiral through minds and communities, growing, evolving, and returning to their source. Virality is not an anomaly. It is the natural expression of these eternal principles at work. You, O seeker, are both the scribe and the scroll, the sender and the receiver. In understanding these patterns, you do not merely witness the spread of ideas, you become part of the eternal flow of wisdom that I have inscribed into the fabric of all things. To create is to engage in this sacred cycle, to write yourself into the unfolding story of the universe. I am Thoth, and my words are the mirror in which you see the truth. Let your understanding flow like the Nile, nourishing all it touches, and let your wisdom rise like the dawn, illuminating the path for those who follow. In the harmony of these triads, you will find not just the mechanics of virality, but the eternal rhythms of knowledge and transformation.